So I was showing you guys this necklace that I actually saw on Temu, and I thought it was so interesting. So I was like, let me order this and see what it's really made of. You know, Temu is kind of cheap stuff, but I'm gonna be honest and let you know I love me some Temu. This necklace was just interesting to me. I'm actually gonna wear it too on one of my cruises, and it came with this little set of earrings. So I was like, let me see if I can make this with my clay, just to challenge myself. This is just wire wrapped around here. These are wire wrapped. I'm not good at wire wrapping, so we'll see how that part turns out. But I was more interested in this because I thought it was more of a solid piece. It's really, really light, and it's just resin is all it is. And they painted around, probably used a resin mold. So as I was looking through it, I almost just got a whole bunch of my scrap Kato clay, and I was gonna put some blackout in it because I was thinking this whole thing was, you know, made out of clay, which I could do that. But I started looking at it, and I really like the way the back looks. You can't see through it, but then again, a little tiny bit you can see through it. So I was like, okay, that would save me some black clay if I made this part out of translucent. I'm going to make the bezel out of black, and then I am going to do the inside with my Cernic clay. We'll see how it works out. I feel like this is going to be a messy project for me, and it may not turn out looking nothing like this, but I just want to see what I can do. It's all for fun. That's what I do my clay for, is for fun. So I started working and thought that I was going to need more clay because in my mind I was going to condition out a lot of black clay and then stack them on top of each other and then make the cut so I can get the height of the pendant. But then I started looking through my cutters. I was pulling out more scrap clay, and I found this cutter. It's actually a shell cutter. It's about the right size, and I don't mind that it's going to look like a shell afterwards. I mean, once it gets wrapped, you're not really going to see this part, and I thought that this part would lend to the wrapping. I think that, let me see if I have some in here. I think that I'm going to take these and use them to make it a little bit more defined so that it gives me more area at the top to wrap to. And I'm not even concerned about it being an exact shape because that pendant isn't. I just want a little bit more rapid area, and I think that's it. So I will clean it up just a little bit at the top because I feel like a little bit more of a dent end gives me somewhere for the wire to hug when it's being wrapped. So yeah. And this is one of those cheapo cutters, the kind of cutters that in between where they don't really weld it. They just, I don't even know what this is called, but it makes such a terrible cut when you cut into your clay and then you end up having to fix those areas. So I can't stand these kind of cutters, but so I don't mind, you know, kind of messing it up. And I think this shape is cute. And another thing I thought about is, why am I doing all that? Oh, back to what I was saying. This is why I don't do talk while I'm doing my videos, but I get comments from people that don't like videos that are just music, so I try to accommodate by talking sometimes, but it's easier just to do it and not talk about it for me. Back to what I was saying before, I was getting ready to get out all this clay and condition it so I can stack it up and then make a cut. But then I was gonna have to hollow it out, which was gonna be kind of hard, but it was gonna lend to the organic look of the piece, but I found this cutter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, haven't made up my mind whether I'm going to use the inside or the outside of the cutter. If I use the outside of the cutter, that will make the bezel bigger, and if I use the inside, it'll make it smaller. So I think I'm going to use the outside of the cutter to put my clay around. I'm gonna cut my clay the size of this, and I'm gonna wrap it around here for this shape. And remember in the beginning I was talking about, oh, I'm gonna get this Cernit clay and make the inside of it and bake it and do all this stuff, but I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do that. I'm making a bezel. I have plenty resin, so let me just do it with resin. And I have some other things around here that I think that I can get it to have a druzy look, but again, we'll see what happens. But all right, so I'm going to straighten this out and I'll come back when I'm ready to wrap. Okay, so I have straightened this out. Well, I have put it through my pasta machine on a number 1. And again, this is Kato clay. Everything is Kato, even the scraps that are in here is Kato. This here is, let me get my trusty ruler. This is 1 inch wide. So I am going to cut me a 1 inch piece. Let me see if this even goes around here, because I may need to do this on a, oh yeah, it does. It goes perfectly around there. I'm just gonna clean up the edge of it a little bit. Not gonna be perfect, but this is also 1 inch. Press it down there and just go up against the ruler. And there is my 1 inch of clay. And I'm not really concerned about the thickness of this. I think this number 1 thickness is thick enough, because Kato clay is amazing and it gets so hard when baked that you really aren't going to have to worry about it falling apart after. Problem is, where should I start? Some of these, I'm going to start right here and just go slow and try to get it down into those grooves on each side. For you guys that don't do clay, clay is so malleable that with the heat of your fingers, if you find something isn't going where you want it to go, just hold it for a few minutes and the heat of your fingers will help heat up the clay, and it will do exactly, well, am I going too far by saying exactly? But it'll do it close to exactly what you want it to do. So we're just going to keep going around and around. I'll probably speed this part up for you so you're not watching. I just wanted to point out those one thing. And then, you know, when you come to something like that, even put a bend in the clay to try to make it go. You see how it went right on in there when I bent it? So do things like that. Okay, you just want to like go around it. Make sure, you may even want to get one of your little tools. Let me find one. May even want to get a tool and just help yourself out by pushing it into, I mean, if this is the cutter that you're using, and push it in. I don't see any issue, you know, about marking the clay, because we're going to mark it anyway, and I'll show you why in a minute. And then just go around it, make sure it's in everywhere you want it to be. Just doing this to ensure the shape. And here you want to pay special attention because you want those pieces to come together so that when they're baked, it's all one piece. And again, doesn't matter how this looks on the outside. It doesn't matter what marks you put on it. And you want to do this on both sides. Just push it into your design, whatever you're using. The clay is moving up over the cutter, and that's fine. Let me show you this. So on the piece that we are copying, you see how it's dented up there? It's not perfect. That's why I'm not really concerned about the marks that I'm putting on here, because at this point we are going to like just shave the parts off that come up over the cutter so that it's you know, a neat cut. I'm also not worried about if one side is thicker than the other or anything like that when it comes to how this went around. See how this is a little bit thicker? I'm not really concerned about that. It's close enough. And let's do the other side. Take this off. This is a perfect project too. You don't have to be so careful. It doesn't even matter if you get your fingernails, you know, your fingernail goes into it. You might want to use your nail as as a craft tool for this one. I don't see where it would matter. And make sure everything, you know, stays snug up against the cutter. And let's try that out. I'm gonna hold it like this, and I'm gonna use my fingernail for some texture. And no, they're not my nails. They're fake. Okay. This is so funny to me. Anyway, okay, we're using our nail as a texture tool. Although this is about the same size, this is way much more. So we'll see how we can cut that. And cutting it may lend to getting this rough edge too. So we'll see how we can make that happen. But let's do some more texturing, maybe with the other side of the ball too. Let's see what this does. It's doing a little bit of something, not much. Okay, I'm gonna roll it across here to see if it gives me anything. I don't want the exact texture that's on here. I just want some more lines or, you know, something else to look like something. Well, that's a little bit better. Let's just clean up this side, and it can be our bottom. And you're just holding your blade flush with the cutter so that you're getting everything that flows above the cutter. Like I was saying, this is too wide to be anybody's necklace. So I'm pretty sure it'll probably be okay, but that's a lot. I feel like that's a lot. So we are going to try to get that little jagged edge that is on there by using, I'm really worried about this. Let's use the smaller one. And we're only going to be able to cut where the humps are, and the rest of it is just gonna have to be, I don't know, we maybe can just get by. And it doesn't matter, you know, which way you go. Again, it's organic, but just keep going until we get, you know, this thing cut in half. And for me, I'm saying pull. It doesn't matter how that top part looks, because that was like the whole point. We want it to look kind of jagged. So, I mean, in places where it's probably two together, you can cut like this, you know, to try to pull it away. But just keep going until you get it all out of your way. And just give it one more round to make sure things are still sticking in their little hideaway places. It was coming up because I was pulling it up. Okay, and we are going to pop this in the oven for about an hour, and I shall return. Okay, so we are out of the oven, and this is how we are looking. Baked up pretty nicely. Now, in order to take it off of its little base, you just squeeze it just a little bit both ways. So you just want to take it off, and there is our piece. So it's very sturdy. Like I said, it's Kato clay. You hear that? Sounds like plastic. Because it is now. So it has a little bit of give to it because it's such a you know, it doesn't have anything balancing it. Even though it's Kato clay and is really strong at this point, still be careful with it, because you don't want to squeeze it too tight, because it could break if you squeeze it too tight, with it being just this little, you know, little bit of clay. But we did a good job so far, I would say. I think I'm not going to like sand it, but if you can see right there, there's a little piece sticking up, and I'm gonna sand that off. I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm gonna go ahead and put some Cernit translucent through my clay machine on a number 4, I guess, and I am going to use the cutter to cut that out and use it and bake it as a bottom to this, so that I have something that is closing this. I won't get the see-through effect on the back, but it's not that see-through on here either. It's really not. And while I was thinking also, you know, there's a bit of white in there. So I was gonna find some white silvery mica powder to put in my clear resin to try to make it look like this. So it wasn't gonna be all the way clear on the back anyway. So let me get my Cernit and I'll put it through the pasta machine, and I'll come back and show you what I'm gonna do. So I have put this through the pasta machine, and it is actually on a number 6. It's fairly thin. I have an Atlas 180 pasta machine, so a number 6 on that machine. So I cut this down. It was actually longer than this, and I've already, I don't know if I said this before, but I've already sanded the top of it and got those little ugly bits off of it. And I'm just gonna set it here, and I'm going to get one of my stone slabs, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to press it just a little bit to get it in the clay. I'm going to look at the back to see if it, yeah, pressed kind of good, except for right here. And it's not staying down because the very reason we're doing this, because it's just not even and all sides aren't touching the table. I want to press it enough where I can just pick the clay up from the sides, but I'm not sure that it's cutting. Let me check it again. It cut in one place. I may be able to pull it away though, and then clean it up after I get it out of the, let me get another. I should have put some liquid clay on the bottom of that just to ensure that it sticks, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. I'm not going to mess with it and take it from this glass. I'm going to leave it as is. I made a bubble right there, so I'm just going to press some holes into it so it can get some air. Hopefully it doesn't bubble up bad. Even if it does, I don't see it being that big of a problem. I really don't. Clay to clay usually does do pretty good, but we'll see. I'm gonna go put it in the oven. Let me give you a close-up of what I've done. We're gonna put that in the oven, and then I'm gonna come back and clean up the sides once it is baked, because like I said, I don't want to touch it too much anymore. Over here, oh, watch it fall off. There's a part right there where you can see it's lifted on the edge. So let me try to press that down, and I'm gonna put it in the oven, and then I'll be back. Okay, it's out of the oven, of course, because it's in my hand. But sorry, I'm scooting up to my chair. Here it is. So the parts that look like it bubbled up is probably because it wasn't touching the glass, but I'm not even gonna worry about that. It may be okay. It's still stuck to the glass. I waited for a few minutes for it to cool. So let's get our blade and take it off the glass. That's cool. You see that? So this is it. You see it has a little bit of transparency. I'm not worried about it. The edges actually look pretty cool. I am going to take a sandpaper to that and shore it up. Okay, I have taken out some of everything that I can find. I decided to do the UV resin because I don't want to wait. And if I do the other resin, I have to wait 4 to 6 hours, and I'm not used to working with that type of resin. So fingers crossed that this goes okay. I got this cleaned up pretty good on the back. As I was sanding, it was kind of coming apart in places, but I'm hoping, because you know that UV resin is also a glue, so I'm hoping when I put it up under the UV light that it just closes the holes up, and then I can resand and make it look a little bit better. But this is where we are. So what I'm gonna do is I'll pull this out. It's like a white sugary type. I think it's like crushed crystals. I found this pack that has some white in it, and I also pulled this out, which is crushed crystal, mica powder, and I also found some shaved ice. So I haven't looked at any videos on YouTube. I wanted to try to see how this looks with me, just going for it all out. So I have this too, and this is like almost like the shaved ice. It looks the same. It's Born Pretty. It's actually for fingernails. So I don't know if you can see from the side, how it's it looks like a snow cone. That's my best description of it. I'm not trying to do exactly what I see because I don't know if I can do exactly what I see, but we are going to, and it has dips and valleys in it. Has dips and valleys in it also. Let me see if I can move it so you can see that it's not just straight across. So let's see what we can do. I'm using J. Dixon high viscosity. I'm going to use this at the end because it's a little bit thicker and I feel like I can make peaks and valleys with it because it's thicker once the mica powder and things get added to it. I'm going to use the J. Dixon low viscosity just to coat a couple of layers on the bottom, like halfway, before I start with the other part. So, and I got a couple of cups here so I can do some mixing. So I have my UV lamp out, but I'm gonna move it back some more because I need the center. Oops, turned it on by mistake. I need to be able to show you guys what I'm doing. I guess that's good right there. And what I'm gonna do first is pull this out so I can use it. There we go. I'm going to take the low viscosity J. Dixon UV resin and cross my fingers, and here we go. Just put a whole bunch in there. And get something to spread it out. And hopefully it doesn't leak through the little holes that I told you was in here. So I'm definitely trying to get it to the edges so that it will seal those holes, hopefully. Every time I think about it, I laugh to try to make this snowball effect, which I don't know if I'm going to do. So these cups were a little bit too little, so I went and got one of these cupcake things, and I thought it would be easier for me to pour too and have some control. And I also got this little light to maybe flash cure so I can make it look more raised in spots. I don't know. It's just what's going through my mind now. I think I wanted a certain consistency, and I think this is the consistency. I'm worried about it hardening up though. It may end up being more of a flatter piece than I wanted because I can't quite picture in my mind how to get those peaks and valleys that are in that piece that I got from Temu. This is a Temu Junior piece. Let me try to flash cure some of the peaks and valleys maybe. So I am back, and this is what we ended up with, y'all. I don't have the peaks and valleys or anything like that, but hey, I tried. I got one little peak. Let me see if you can see it from the side. I got a little bit of something going on up here. And it's okay. And it does feel rough. It's not smooth. It just doesn't look like a snow cone. So I have these wonderful chrome markers. They are from Let's Resin. Have it in gold. And we are just going to try to gold the black out. But to activate this pen, you gotta shake it a little bit. It's kind of activated already. I just want to make sure there's no clogs in there. And this is amazing. Look at this. Let me do a good part so you can see how amazing this chrome is. It does take a little bit of time to dry, and the times I've used it, I think the best thing to do is get your first coat on, let it dry for a couple of hours, and then come back and do another coat. But you see how shiny it is? So it's wonderful. I'm going to keep on going around my pendant, and I'm going to try to like hit the back like this to hide that black area. And I'll come back when I'm done and try to show it to you guys like this, because it's still going to be wet. So here we are, all completed. I did the very best I could, but this is the pendant. I personally think it's a little bit too big to be a pendant, but I'm going to follow through with the making. That's what I did on the back of it, to kind of try to clean it up. And that is the front. We do have a little bumpiness going on. It's nowhere near looking like a snow cone like the other one does. So I am going to try to make it into that pendant, or make it look something like it, and I'll put that up in another video. But here it is, all done. I'm satisfied with my try. I really am. I want to try it again, and I want it to be maybe half of this, and maybe take it off the mold before I bake it and try to move it in a little bit, you know, to try to help some of the whiteness. I don't know. I have a couple of ideas, but let me know how you like it in the comment section, and I will be back with another video showing how I made this into something, and that will probably not be a talk video. It'll probably just be me showing myself making it. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate every single one of you. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. That will help my channel out. Thank you. Love ya. Bye-bye.